What's up, gardeners? I'm Devin Wallien, and in today's video we're going to be talking about taking cuttings of our Pelargonium, our geranium plants, so that we can, number one, increase the amount of geranium that we have, as well as, actually this is my favorite way to overwinter geranium, is by taking cuttings in the summertime, getting them planted up so you have little baby plants that you can overwinter. I find that's the best way to have plants that are ready to start growing for you the following spring. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do it. Now, I'm going to be working with this citronella geranium, but this video is going to be pertinent to any sort of Pelargonium species, zonal geraniums, Pelargonium zonale, or Pelargonium hortorum, or any sort of interspecies hybrids that are quite popular these days. So the first thing that we need to do is find where to take our cuttings. Now, as you'll notice, the ends of our Pelargoniums are green as they are fresh growth, but as you travel inwards into the plant, they do become quite woody. We want to make sure that we're taking cuttings that are not in that woody section, only in the green section. Furthermore, we want to take cuttings that are about 4 to 6 inches in length. Now here you can see a nice example. This stem, nice and green, nice fresh growth from this season, and it doesn't have any too much intense branching. It's mainly one single stem, and you can see here where those leaves are emanating from. Those are called the nodes, and those are very important when it comes to propagating because those hold all of the hormones that will allow them to create new roots. So we definitely need to include as many nodes in our cutting as possible. So when you find a nice stem just like this, what we're going to do, we're going to travel down to one of these nodes just like this, and then we're going to take our nice clean sharp shears and we're going to cut just below that node, just like that. And then this little section we can actually remove from that mother plant, and that should still branch out, assuming you have enough growing season. So here is one cutting. Here is another good example, a cut just here, right below that node. And as you can see, there's a node here, node there, node there, node there. So those are all very important. So I took 4 cuttings and I'm going to plant all 4 up into this pot, and I'll explain what we're planting them up in a minute. If you are wondering if you can propagate them in water, yes you can, but actually you'll have typically more success if you propagate them directly into a soil substrate rather than water. The water can get a little slimy sometimes and it really decreases your success rate. So, and also it's just kind of an excess step if you go into the water. It's really not necessary. So now that we have our cuttings, let me show you how we're going to clean them up. First, I'm going to start just by removing all the foliage, particularly at the base. Any sort of little branching like this, I will remove that. And you always want to use your nice clean sharp shears to do this rather than just ripping them off. It's going to lend for easier healing. And I'm just going to leave maybe this many leaves. It's like 5 leaves in total. And this is a little bit longer than I necessarily need. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to travel up to this node right here. I'm going to cut this off just like that. And now we have one cutting done. So now you can see I have 4 nice clean cuttings. I've tried to remove any of those nubs as much as possible without damaging those nodes. We don't want to damage the nodes. So this looks pretty good. Now it's definitely more of an art than a science when we're concerning how many leaves to actually allow to remain on the plants. So I typically go for something that looks like this. It seems proportionate because you know, the proportionality with reference to the leaves on top and the potential roots that are going to grow out of it. So these are small stems, and I think these look like nice proportional sized cuttings for these plants. Now, once you have your cuttings, we need to fill up, you know, whatever size container you're going to be using. You can do a larger container and stick more in there, but I find a nice 3.5-inch pot is perfect, and I have it filled with, it's a mix of like a seedling starter mix with some added perlite mixed already in there. That's going to improve the drainage, and it's going to allow for nice airflow, which is essential for our cuttings. The next thing that we're going to do, we're going to take like a chopstick or a pencil or something, and I actually pre-moisten this. So this is already moist to the touch. So pre-moistening it is a great way to get our cuttings planted. Then we're going to take our chopstick and we're just going to go make a nice little well. And then we want to go down maybe, definitely you want to include that first. Maybe if you have a couple extra nodes, that's going to be great. We don't necessarily need to push it down all the way to the bottom of the pot. That's not necessary. Something just like that should be good. And we can pat it down. Second one. Be very gentle, of course. And because it's already pre-moistened, we're just going to give it just a little bit of water, not too much, just to help it settle in. Put our label with a date, just like that. Now you can do this indoors in a propagation station like I have with a heat mat and some lighting, but if you're in the summertime, I find it's even nicer to just do it outside. I'm gonna be leaving mine in this covered patio, covered front porch. It doesn't get any direct sunlight, but it also doesn't get any rainfall. So this is gonna be a great spot to help allow this guy to produce roots. I forgot to mention, if you do want to use rooting hormone with our propagations, you can, but I really don't find it necessary with pelargoniums because they do tend to root so easily. I'm just going to leave it up here. The nights are easily above 50 degrees, so this is going to be a great setting for it, keeping it out of the direct sunlight, and then it should start to produce roots within the next 6 to 8 weeks. So between now and then, we do want to keep an eye on the soil. We don't want it to ever dry out fully. We want it to always stay nice and just slightly moist. That's why we use the seedling mix mixed with the perlite, because it's gonna allow it to stay just slightly moist, but also not sopping wet, which the cuttings don't like either. So we do wanna keep an eye on it. If it looks, you know, like it's getting a little too dry, we're gonna just go give it a little bit of extra water to ensure that it is staying moist. So by keeping it outside where it's warm and where it's nice and brightly well lit, like I have right here, doesn't need direct sunlight, but it also doesn't want to be in some cavernous location either. This is going to be a great situation for it to get its roots started. So once we see something going on, I will revisit the cuttings and I will tell you what we will be doing next. All right, so it has been about 6 weeks since I planted up these cuttings of my Pelargonium, my Geranium. And so, as you can see, I have some dead foliage. It's a good idea to always remove that dead foliage as it comes. Also, like even a little baby flower started to grow, which is a good sign. I have another little flower right here. I'm gonna pick it off and get this nice and cleaned up. So this is a routine maintenance on our cuttings. And then really to check to see if they are rooting. If it has rooted, you just do a little tug test. You just take your 2 fingers, put it right here at the base, and if it feels like it's rooted down in there, that means it has rooted. Tested each and every one of them. They feel good. They feel like they are rooted. So I would say that it has been a success. And you can also see that there are some new little baby leaves that are just starting to grow. That is also another good sign. So that you do the tug test, it feels like it's like anchored in there. You can see some little baby leaves just growing. That means that our plants have rooted, that it has been a success. So now we're just gonna keep it in this pot, continue to water it as it gets dry, and it should continue to grow over the next few months. And so what we're gonna do with these plants over the winter time as they're indoors is we are gonna keep this in a small pot just like this, put it in a very bright sunny window or even grow lights like I have here. And we're gonna keep it in a small pot, and we're gonna wait, whenever it looks like the soil is really dry, that's when we're going to water it. We're not going to overwater it inside the home. That's a good way to make them fail after all of this hard work and all of that patience. You wanna keep them on the drier side and allow them to really root out well in these small pots. Then the following spring, once the nights have really started to stay above 50, that's when we can transplant it to a larger container, put it outside, and enjoy it like we do with our geraniums every single year. Well, now you know how to take cuttings of our geraniums, what to check for to make sure that they're rooting correctly, how to care for them in the interim over the winter time, and so you can keep your geraniums from season to season rather than repurchasing them every single year. If you do still have any further questions or comments, make sure to leave them below. I always do my best to answer each and every one of them. And don't forget, subscribe to our channel, as we are bringing new plant-related content every single week. Thanks for joining me here on Plant Vibrations. I'll catch you guys soon. Ciao.